Picture this for a moment. A place that was once completely abandoned. No people, no opportunities, no future. And yet, against all odds, a group of hardworking people transformed that forgotten mountain into a fully self-sustaining eco-farm. A place where multiple families could start over and build a brand new life. But the beginning was far from easy. At first, the entire area was empty and lifeless. Dry soil, broken hills, and clouds of dust surrounded everything. Most of the local people had already left for the cities because there were no jobs, no opportunities, and no hope left in the village. To everyone else, this mountain looked useless. No one imagined it could ever become a place where people could live again. But then, one man made a decision. He decided to bring this dead place back to life. He returned to his hometown, gathered a team, and in April 2021, the massive project officially began. The very first step was leveling the mountain. Huge machines were brought in, bulldozers, excavators, and other heavy equipment. Day and night, the machines carved through the rocky landscape. Dust filled the air everywhere. At times, it looked like the entire mountain was being destroyed. But in reality, something incredible was being built. Because before creating something great, you first need a strong foundation. And they refused to cut corners while building it. Every section of land was carefully measured. The team studied the soil, calculated the pressure points, and planned every move in advance. Then came the most dangerous part of the project: digging the caves. Slowly, massive hollow spaces were carved deep inside the mountain. But this work was extremely risky. Even though the ground looked solid from the outside, the inside was surprisingly soft and unstable. At any moment, the entire structure could collapse. That's why the workers moved with extreme caution. One wrong cut could cause a disaster. Every wooden support beam, every tunnel section, and every measurement had to be perfectly calculated. Because even a small mistake could bring the whole cave down. Just imagine it. People working underneath hundreds of tons of earth above their heads. This wasn't just construction. It was a test of courage, patience, and determination. Once the caves were completed, the next step was reinforcing the walls. The interior was covered with concrete to make the structure stronger and safer. But the concrete served another important purpose too. It helped regulate temperature naturally. During the summer, the inside stayed cool, and during winter, it remained warm and comfortable. That meant less energy was needed to create a livable environment. And little by little, this project started turning from a simple construction site into a modern eco-farm. Brick structures were built around the cave entrances. The openings were expanded, and empty spaces inside were reinforced to make everything more stable. Slowly, the caves began to look less like tunnels and more like modern homes. But these spaces were not designed only for people. The goal was to build a completely self-sustaining system, a place where people could live, where food could be grown, where animals could be raised, and where everything worked together in one continuous cycle. Outside the caves, separate chambers were built for livestock. Special areas were designed for goats, cows, and other animals. Today, many scientists and farmers around the world are searching for farming systems that can reduce environmental damage while still maintaining production. And this project became a real example of that idea in action. Every resource here was carefully planned and managed. Near the area flows the Yellow River, so water was available nearby. But water management itself became one of the biggest challenges. Globally, around 70% of water usage goes toward agriculture. And raising livestock also requires enormous amounts of water. Animals need water to drink, farms need irrigation, and cleaning systems require constant use as well. That's why this project focused not only on using water, but also on controlling and conserving it. Special drainage systems were installed to make sure no water was wasted unnecessarily. But perhaps the biggest challenge of all was animal waste. If not handled properly, it could become extremely dangerous for both the environment and nearby water sources. It could pollute the soil, contaminate water, and create serious health risks. So the team built separate storage and waste management systems to safely handle everything. But here's the fascinating part. The waste itself was later reused as compost, organic fertilizer, and even as a source of energy. In other words, almost nothing was wasted. Everything became part of one sustainable cycle. And that's exactly what makes this project such an incredible example of modern eco-friendly farming. After that, attention shifted toward making the interiors comfortable and beautiful. Windows and doors were installed. Ventilation openings were added to allow fresh air to circulate naturally. Inside the caves, seating and living spaces were carefully designed so warm air could flow naturally throughout the rooms. Bathrooms were added at the back sections of the caves. Tiles were installed to make cleaning easier and more hygienic. Then came the electrical work. All the wiring was hidden inside the walls to keep the interiors clean and organized. One of the hardest parts of the project was maximizing every inch of available space. That's why the furniture was specially designed to fit perfectly inside the compact interiors. On top of the structures, durable metal roofs were installed. These roofs could resist fire, survive heavy rain, melt snow quickly, and last for many years. And then came the most beautiful part of the transformation: bringing life back to the land. The dry soil was carefully prepared for farming once again. The land was softened, reshaped, and turned into farming terraces. Then seeds were planted across the mountain. Every seed needed the right balance of water, air, and temperature. And when all those conditions came together, new life slowly began to grow. In June 2022, the first terrace was finally completed. Then came the second terrace, then the third. Slowly, the once dead mountain started filling with homes, farms, gardens, and people again. A place that everyone had abandoned was now alive once more. Food was being grown there. Families were building new lives there. Children were playing there again. And that's what makes this story so powerful. Because this is not just a story about construction. It's proof that with vision, hard work, and patience, even the most forgotten places can come back to life. A mountain that the world once gave up on has now become a symbol of hope. And maybe, in the future, more abandoned places around the world will be transformed the same way. Because when humans stop fighting against nature and start working with it, even impossible things can become reality. In the end, this isn't just a story about caves, bricks, and mountains. It's a story about rebirth. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to MindNet for more incredible stories from around the world.